Hi, y'all. Today we are going to talk about something called fused sentences. Some of you might be wondering, what in the world is a fused sentence? And some of you might be thinking, oh, I know what a fused sentence is. That sounds familiar. Well, today we are going to talk a little bit more about fused sentences. I'm going to explain what they are, and then we're going to correct some fused sentences. So there are two types of fused sentences. Oh wait, well, let me first explain what a fused sentence is. Obviously, I forgot to do that. A fused sentence happens when you are connecting two or more sentences together with incorrect grammar or punctuation, or with no punctuation at all. There are two types of fused sentences. The first one is a run-on sentence. A run-on sentence occurs when you're stringing two or more complete sentences together as if they're just one sentence. So let's look down here and look at our example. Spring is my favorite time of year. This is when the sun comes out and the flowers begin to bloom, and I love it so much. Okay, so we have a lot of sentences here within this one run-on sentence. There is no punctuation in here to indicate that this is actually more than one complete thought, and it can be really confusing for our readers. So let's first establish our sentences. So spring is my favorite time of year. This is a complete thought, right? It's a clause that completes a thought. So this is actually a one sentence. So I'm going to color that orange just to keep it clear. All right. This is when the sun comes out. Is that a complete sentence? Yes, it is. It's got the verb and it's got the subject of that sentence, which is this. It's the pronoun for spring, right? So there's our second sentence. I'll do this one blue. And the flowers begin to bloom. That sounds like a complete thought. Is it a complete thought? Is it a clause that completes a thought? Well, begin is our verb. What's doing the verb? Flowers. And it does complete a thought. So this is a complete sentence. So I'm going to color this one green. All right, last, and I love it so much. All right, love is our verb. And I is doing the verb. So we have, that's too light. Let's do something darker. We'll just do another blue. Okay. And I love it so much. So now that we've established how many sentences, there are 4 sentences in this run-on sentence. We can do several things. We can just do something really simple. We can add a semicolon behind. And if I use a semicolon here with a coordinating conjunction, right? This is what we talked about just a little while ago, and I gave you that handout about coordinating conjunctions, right? Okay, so if I'm going to use a semicolon, I want to use a comma on that one. And a semicolon here. And that's fine. We could just leave it just like that. It's funny how we can put 4 sentences within a sentence and still do it correctly. But this here is correct. Spring is my favorite time of year. This is when the sun comes out and the flowers begin to bloom, and I love it so much. But it gets a little bit repetitive. I think that we could make it sound a little bit better. So let's just try to do the most simple thing, which is make complete sentences with just add periods after each of the complete sentences, I mean. So it says, and don't forget to add your capitals. Okay, spring is my favorite time of year. This is when the sun comes out, flowers begin to bloom. I love it so much. All right, that's a little bit choppy, right? It's correct, but it's choppy and it doesn't flow very well. This is one reason why we like to use our coordinating conjunctions, because it makes our writing flow a little bit better. It makes it sound better. Okay. Oh, we want to keep that coloring. Go back. There we go. So we can use a semicolon. We can use a period. this is what I'm going to do. I am going to add a period here. I'm going to capitalize. This is when the sun comes out. I'm going to keep my coordinating conjunction and the flowers begin to bloom. And then I'm going to add a period here. Simple. Spring is my favorite time of year. This is when the sun comes out and the flowers begin to bloom. I love it so much. I think that that is probably our best option. Now let's come down here and talk about comma splice. This is our second type of fused sentence. Comma splices happen when you are connecting two independent clauses with only a comma. So if I was going to take our first sentence, spring is my favorite time of year, and I wanted to say, okay, I want to keep it just how it is. So I just need to indicate something to separate these two sentences. So I'm just going to do a comma. Spring is my favorite time of year. This is when the sun comes out. I'm just going to do a comma here. And the flowers begin to bloom. And I love it so much. Guess what? This comma right here, that comma right there is incorrect. That's called a comma splice. This says we should have, what should we have? Right. We need to put a fanboy here. We need to put a coordinating conjunction. And so I could put and, right? So here's our coordinating conjunctions, our fanboys. We've got for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. All right. We can use and, but I think I want to use a different one. So fanboy, F4. Let's try for. Spring is my favorite time of year, for this is when the sun comes out and the flowers begin to bloom. And I love it so much. I still am not a big fan of that last one, so I still want to put a period there. And that is how you fix a comma splice. This happens a lot. Comma splices happen a lot. Let me just give you an example of one that I wrote just this very morning, and I had to fix it. I said to my friend or my sister-in-law, I am so glad the pictures finally came. I hope you are happy with them. That was my first instinct to write because I'm in the habit of writing those comma splices when I get typing fast. So I am so glad the pictures finally came. I hope you are happy with them. Is that correct? It looks correct and it kind of sounds correct, but it's not correct. We're used to, I think, seeing these fused sentences, and we're not completely aware of them when they happen. So what I did is all I did was add my coordinating conjunction, my fanboy. I am so glad the pictures finally came, and I hope you are happy with them. If I wanted to correct it another way, I could add a long pause, which would be a semicolon, or I could just separate them. Just a simple period. I am so glad the pictures finally came. I hope you are happy with them. So that is our lesson on fused sentences. We'll talk about it a little bit more in class. See you soon.